Thank you so much for joining. I'm so glad to see so many people here. So my name is Erin, and I am the Student Recruitment Officer with UBC Engineering. So thank you for joining us today. Our session today is all going to be about first year registration. So there's lots of information that we'll share with you today, and there's also lots more information that will be coming to you over the next several weeks. We also have some additional sessions that will be coming up that Engineering Academic Services is going to be hosting about registration. So there are lots of events coming up to help you with registration and lots more information that you'll be getting emailed as well. So feel free to comment today with any questions you have about course registration. I have a bit of some information I'm going to share first, and I'm going to share my screen to kind of walk through that process a little bit. But I do also want to mention that we all work at the Vancouver campus, which is located on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Musqueam people. So if you are planning to attend a different campus like the Okanagan campus for engineering, today's session is unfortunately not going to help you a whole lot. But if you are deciding between which campus you're going to attend, maybe you have an offer to both, you are welcome to learn more about your first year of engineering at the Vancouver campus today. So today I'm joined by one of our advisors from Engineering Academic Services, who I will invite to introduce themselves first.
Hey everyone, it's so nice to meet you, even though I can't see your lovely faces. My name is Jessica. I'm an Associate Academic Advisor with Engineering Academic Services. And if I'm lucky, I'll see some of you in person in the fall.
Awesome, thank you. And before you go away, Jessica, if you can give us a little bit more detail about what Engineering Academic Services is and how it supports our first year students, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, great question, Erin. So Engineering Academic Services really, we work with all engineering students, particularly first year engineering students, in all things related to academics. So certainly the registration side of things in your upcoming season with UBC, but we also support students with navigating their applied science degree, in course planning, understanding like what courses do you need to take in your first year, what courses are needed to progress onto second year. We are also the body that helps facilitate the specialization, which is a hot topic amongst all students, especially this time of the year. And then we also facilitate things like pointing students to the correct services. So whether that's academic related services or wellness services, or if you have questions about like exams and how those are facilitated. So we really answer any and all kinds of questions, and I welcome you to come in person or join us virtually throughout the year if you have any questions about your studies at UBC.
Awesome, thank you so much. So Jessica will be sticking around to help answer questions in a little bit. And I do also just want to add a reminder that if you have any questions about anything, you're welcome to continue contacting me. But after June 1st, you'll start hearing more from Engineering Academic Services. And after June 1st is really when you'll be able to start connecting with Engineering Academic Services and our advisors there to ask any other questions that you have. So they're working on a lot of things with current students right now, and they will be kind of welcoming you to their office after June 1st for you to connect with them. So just keep that in mind that for the next few weeks, you still get to email me, and you can continue to email me in the summer, but as you get more into becoming a student and those questions associated with your degree, then our advisors are going to be the ones to connect with. All right, so I also have a current student with us that has just finished their first year today. So Ellie, I'll get you to introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Ellie. I just finished my first year in engineering. I was in pre-biomedical engineering, and for second year, I'm planning on going to Bmeg. Fun fact about me is I like to ski, and so being at UBC Vancouver, I was able to visit Whistler a few times. So if that's something that interests you, it's a reason to come here.
Excellent. And Ellie, what do you think was most exciting about your first year, and maybe what are you most looking forward to in the coming year?
So the most exciting thing was just meeting a whole bunch of new people. I was able to meet so many different people from so many different backgrounds from around the world. And as well, next year, I'm really excited to get more into my specialization and kind of what interests me specifically about engineering in biomedical engineering.
Awesome, perfect. So thank you for being here, Ellie. Ellie is also going to stick around to answer some of your questions about the student experience today and about kind of like getting some opinions from someone who just finished their first year. For those of you that may be in our Discord channel for UBC Engineering, you'll also see Ellie in there. She is helping to answer a lot of questions that you have. So you can also connect with Ellie in that Discord channel if you like. And in your most recent email that would have told you about this event, you should have received a link to the Discord in there. So it is for admitted students. And the most recent email that went out this past Saturday would have had a link for it. So you can access that there. All right, so I am going to start with sharing my screen just for a little bit. It's not meant to be an official presentation, but it's just an easy way for me to screen share what you can expect to see online when you're looking to do a quick walkthrough of some registration tips. It shouldn't take too long, and then we'll have time to jump into all of your questions. Reminder that if you do have questions, you're welcome to add those to the chat. Ellie and Jessica will keep an eye on the chat while I am sharing my screen, and then we will go to those chat questions once I am done. So as I mentioned, I am going to basically just share my screen of some important tips to know about registration. So first year registration doesn't actually start until June 21st to 23rd. So you still got lots of time before that will happen. But we wanted to give you some of the basics of what to expect so that you have some information going into the next several weeks or the next month or so, and so that you can be prepared and hopefully have any of those questions that you may have answered, because we know a lot of students will have the same questions. We want to help answer those as quickly as possible. So in engineering, we use what's called a standard timetable or an STT, and this will include almost all of your classes needed for first year. So the STTs are named differently based on your academic background, and so it's important to know which one to register in. So what you can see on my screen right now is an example of the explanation of what those different STTs are. So the HSSTT is the one that the majority of our students will be registering in. This contains Math 100, which all students will take regardless of whether or not you took calculus in high school. If you look at the Math 100 description, you may see that there are certain requirements of having completed calculus and certain grade levels and things like that. That applies to students outside of engineering, but students in engineering will expect to take Math 100. Some of the more specialized STTs includes the HP STT. So if you've been notified that you are missing Physics 12, that would have been on your offer letter as well to indicate that you didn't have Physics 12 or equivalent. Most students admitted to UBC Engineering are going to have completed that because it is a course required. But if you have not completed that course, then you can expect that you will need to take this so that you can take your Physics 100 in the start of first year, and then continue on to complete your physics requirement in the summer after first year. The HV STT is available to students that are going to be varsity athletes. So again, you should know if that will be you. The HZ STT is for students who qualify to take honors math courses. So Math 120 and Math 121 are the honors math courses. They are very hard math courses. They are going to be for students who really, really, really love honors math. So it is something that you are able to take if you're interested in that. And you can talk with the math department if you want to find out more information about that as well, about those specific courses. The Pbme Stt, so Ellie mentioned she was in that STT this year. So this is for students who have been selected for the pre-biomedical engineering path. The application or the supplementary forms are available now if you haven't already filled it out and you would like to. The deadline is coming up for June 1st to fill that out, but we do recommend filling that out as soon as possible if you're interested. And so you do need to fill out the supplementary form, and you would need to be selected by the Biomedical School of Engineering in order to be able to register in that. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. The Pbme Stt is for any students who have applied into the pre-med alternative pathway. So those applications, May 15th. If you are interested in the pre-med alternative pathway, I can give you more information about that, or you can find that on the website as well. That one will just supplement your first year chemistry, essentially. So if you are interested in going into medical school, it will supplement so that you have Chem 121 and Chem 123 as part of your STT, because that is a recommendation for medical school if you're planning to pursue that in the future. All right, so if you go to register and all those STTs that I just mentioned are full, then what you'll do at that point in time is register for what's called the transitory timetable. So if HS is the right STT for you, the HS STT, and you go to register in those and they are full, you'll look for the HSAR STT. Those will only be released once those STTs have filled up. Basically, it's kind of like a placeholder. So we don't know the exact numbers of which students need which type of STT, and sometimes we run out of certain ones. So it's important that you don't register in the wrong STT just because there's space, because you could be dropped from that if you're not meeting the requirements for that STT. But don't worry, as long as you've registered in the transitory timetable that applies to you. So again, most students, that's going to be the HS STT, and if those fill up the HSAR STT, you will be registered in all of your required courses. You don't have to worry about that. It's just that you won't know confirmation of your actual schedule until a little bit later in the summer, but you will be assured that you'll get all of those required first year courses. Once you do select your STT, students in most of these STTs, except for the Pbme Stt, are going to need to add their first year English and a humanities course. So the first year English course that students primarily take is called Words 150B, and that is the recommended one. It's centered more around writing and research, so it'll really support you throughout the rest of your degree, so that you are going to be able to write those research papers later on, that you can work on your technical essays and things like that. It's less of what you may have taken in high school that was like English literature, so it's less of a focus on that. They do have topics. Last I checked today, the topics are not available for this coming term yet, but you can expect sometime before course registration, those topics will be posted. So you can check those out. I can add a link really quick for that as well. So just added the link for the first term of the Words 150B topics. Again, the last I checked, they were not updated for this coming term, but you can see what they were this past year to get a sense of what they might look like in the future. For the humanities course that you'll add, you can take almost any course offered by the Faculty of Arts. And if you go to the Engineering Academic Services website, you can use the search tool so that you can determine if that course is already has been evaluated to be accepted as your humanities option. So there are hundreds of courses available. Most of them are already in the EAS website for you to check out. And in the email that you were sent on Saturday, you would have received a link to that page as well to learn more about your humanities. And again, we can send you some links, and in the recording of this video, we'll also have all of these links posted in the description of the video. So when you're looking at your STT and adding in the English or the Words 150 and your humanities, you're going to want to try and make sure that your schedule is as balanced as possible. So you look at the number of classes in each term. Every STT may be a little bit different in terms of how many classes are in term 1 versus term 2. So you can have a look at that to see what it'll look like for you. In most cases, it's going to be that your Words 150 is in one term and your humanities is in the other term. Now, for students in the Pbme Stt, there's a few slightly different instructions to follow. So you will get an email giving you these specific instructions, but you'll register in your STT, which will not contain Chem 121 and 123, but within a week or so, the chemistry department will register you in your chem courses. And students in the Pbme Stt will only add words 150, not a humanities for first year. However, you may also choose to complete words 150 in the summer after first year. So in terms of adding the STT is going to be the same, but there's just a few additional requirements that you will get sent to you directly if you have been selected for the Pbme Stt. All right. So now that you kind of know the basics of what to expect coming up, I'm going to share a few more slides with you of what to expect. So the screenshot I have on my slide right now is from the course website. So you can access this through the Student Service Center or the SSC, or if you just even Google like UBC courses, it should be one of the first links that comes up for you to look through. Now, there are a couple of kind of important steps when it comes to registering in your courses. So once you get to this website through the SSC or through searching it, it's again, the SSC is the same place that you would have accepted your offer to UBC. In the course schedule, I will note that you won't be able to see the courses just yet for the first year STTs. Those will be published after May 24th. So I'm using screenshots from last year, but you can look at this past year, which would be 2021 winter, to get a sense of what those may look like for the future. So when you are in here, make sure that you are selecting 2022 winter for this year. If you want to look at last year's, select 2021 winter. To see what it was last year, but this coming year will be what's called 2022 winter. Now, currently right now, if you go into it, it will auto select to 2022 summer. And if you go to look at the standard timetables, you won't see any because standard timetables don't exist for first year applied science in the summer term. So do make sure that that top right-hand corner says 2022 winter when you are looking. Now, when you go in to look at the so on the browse, you can select standard timetables. You'll come to this page. UBC Engineering, the degree that you are given is Bachelor of Applied Science. So you will select BASC. From there, you'll select standard timetables year 1. You can get this far right now, but once you click on standard timetables year 1, you won't see anything else like you see here. You'll just see that description that I showed you on the very first slide. So what you can do through here is to look at what those STTs look like. So this is going to be last year's examples. You can see it says 2021 winter in the top right-hand corner. And then you can look through to see all of the different STTs that were available last year. Again, you can expect this coming year to be similar. There may be some differences, but you can get a sense of what they'll look like here. You can also hover over them and you'll see what's in the right-hand side of my screen where it gives you an example of what you can expect the kind of block schedule to look like as a quick overview to see what your days would look like. So when you are looking through here, once the courses are published for this year, you'll be able to select, you'll be able to create a new work list. You'll select your STT, you'll add English and Humanities, and then you'll register on your date and time. So you'll get an email about 2 weeks before registration starts with your date and time, which will be somewhere on June 21st, 22nd, or 23rd. To start off with, you'll be just creating a work list, which again, you can start doing as of May 24th once those STTs for first year are published. Your work list is a chance for you to play around with courses. So it's like a mock timetable. You can create several of them. We'd highly recommend creating quite a few of them because those courses can fill up, or those STTs can fill up. And then once your date and time becomes available, you'll go in and actually register in those courses. Once you've registered in those courses, you can verify your official timetable by clicking on the timetable and then registered. There are video links that I will add as well that will give you information about how to actually do this. So I didn't want to walk through all of these pieces today, but just give you a quick example of this. So again, you can expect an email about 2 weeks before the registration with your date and time, which will be again somewhere on June 21st, 22nd, or 23rd. So you'll know 2 weeks in advance of the exact time and the exact day. Just remember that if you aren't located in BC, that these times will be in Pacific time that you see on your SSC. All right, so the last piece I do want to mention, which I think there may have been a few questions that have popped up already, but for those of you expecting to receive credit for AP IB or British Pattern Curriculum or AP courses, you may already know what credit you think you'll be receiving, but we do ask you please wait until you have confirmation from UBC about any advanced credit before dropping any courses from your schedule. Ellie just posted some more information about transfer credits and things like that. So thanks for doing that, Ellie. But we do recommend waiting to make sure that you see those transfer credits show up in your SSC before you drop anything from your schedule. You also have until the drop deadline in the second week of classes to continue to make changes to your schedule. So for first term in 2022 winter, that'll be September 19th. What we do recommend is maybe even, so especially for your math and your chemistry and your physics courses, those are really the foundation of your degree. In a lot of cases, you may think you have a good handle on it, but it is really the foundation of your degree. So we do recommend maybe even going to the first few classes of those courses just to make sure that everything listed in the syllabus is stuff you already understand and things you already know about. So it's up to you if you want to drop those courses and use the credit. You'll automatically be assigned that credit. And if you want to use it, all you have to do is just not take that course essentially. So we do recommend really checking out those courses and thinking hard about that because those courses are going to be the foundation of the rest of your engineering degree. However, for courses like a humanities, or if you want to use your English credit or anything like that, you can totally use that credit, no problem. And that will just help lighten your course load in first year. All right, so, oh, and the other important note that any courses that you get that transfer credit for will count as having been completed, but it will not have a grade associated with them. All right, that is all of the main information I wanted to share with you. So thank you for listening to me talk for a while. Hopefully that gives you a quick introduction to some of the information about course registration. But now we are going to jump into some of your questions. So Ellie and Jessica will be helping me answer these questions. First, I'll ask Ellie, were there any questions that kind of popped up over and over again that you saw that maybe you wanted to address first, or that Jessica could help answer?
I saw quite a few about words and humanities. There is a list of approved electives for engineering. I did put that in the chat, but for the majority of students, you should add words 150 or an equivalent to your timetable. And also for most timetables, except for the Pbme, you should have an elective included as well.
Perfect. So yeah, I'll just add that into the chat again. So the humanities link, if you want to use that, you can actually search through the table in there to find those electives or humanities. So an elective or humanities is kind of interchangeable when we talk about those. And then your first year English would be most cases words 150B. What I'll also link is if you do want to see the, so our first year credit website will show you what the grade or the score that you need in AP and IB courses in order to get credit for them. So I will add that as well. You can double check your courses and what score you have to see if you would be eligible for first year credit as well. So I'll add that in. All right, so there's more questions coming in now. Jessica, were there any questions that you saw that popped up quite a bit that you'd like to address at all?
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot, and please excuse me because they're whizzing by super fast, but I'm seeing a lot of questions about like recommended course load over the entire session. And so, you know, it's individual, if I'm being honest, in terms of how many course loads students take, how many courses students take per term. Some students will, you know, go for the whole thing, which is completely okay. But we also understand that like coming straight off the bat from high school into 6 to 7 courses per term can be really overwhelming. And so in that case, yeah, sometimes students do drop some courses. Typically, the courses that they'll drop are courses like the Words 150B, sometimes even AppSci 160, and they'll wait until the summer to do those classes so that they can better focus. But I just want to say there's a huge caveat to this is if you are going to consider dropping courses, I think the first thing is like, come to our office, speak to an academic advisor to help you better plan that out. And also just know that there are certain specializations or programs, as we call them, that have certain requirements in place and that you need to finish these courses by a certain date. And so in that sense, you know, come talk to us. We can get into the nitty-gritty details of that, but just consider that if you are thinking about course load reduction. I'll just leave it as it is common. We do see it. And so it's perfectly okay if that's something you're choosing to do.
Perfect. And just to add on to that, so the standard first year in engineering, if you are in the Hstt and taking your Words 150 and your Humanities, is going to be 37 credits. So each course is assigned a certain number of credits. Those credits add up to be kind of your total for the year. So that would be 37 credits. Now, if you are just simply talking about being able to progress to year 2 at the end of first year, you need to have completed a total of 27 credits minimum of that first year. However, those credits that are not completed of the 37 credits still need to be completed at some point in time, and they are likely going to be prerequisites or required courses for those second year courses. So there is some leeway where you can still progress to second year by lightening your course load, but that's where it's really important to talk to an advisor about which courses make the most sense for you. And depending on which specialization you're going into, because there could be issues around that if you're not completing courses in time before that program requires that. Now, I did see there was a couple questions asking about honors math. Is that going to provide you any sort of advantage in terms of second year placement? Not really. Your second year placement, we have upcoming sessions about this, but second year placement is going to look at your first year average, as well as your first choice program will look at your personal statement as well. So if that builds who you are as a student and creates a better experience for you to take honors math, then definitely you can do that. But it's not something that simply by doing that course, you're going to be looked at any differently than a student that was in the Hstt. So that's a good consideration to take into play. I think that answers some of the first few questions that came in. If you haven't taken chemistry in high school, you will have been notified in your offer letter, as well as will receive additional communication about what kind of your pathway is. Typically, if you are just going into the Hstt, you will still be permitted to take Chem 154, even if you have not completed Chem 12 in high school. But you should have received additional information about that. If you do have extra questions about that, then we're happy to answer those maybe via email so that we can look at your full academic history just to ensure that we're catching everything in there. Looking at the other questions, I think we've addressed a lot of them. Can you take architecture as an elective? Likely not, because it will not be offered by the Faculty of Arts, which is where most of your elective courses or your humanities courses are going to come from. What's the difference between Words 150B and other first year English courses like English 112? So other courses that start with English or ENGL are going to be more literature-based courses typically. So it's going to be more of a focus on literary analysis of reading a book, analyzing it, what you may have experienced more typically in your high school English class. Words 150 is going to focus more on writing and research. And so how to actually do research, how to write. And so it'll be in a lot of cases more applicable to the communication requirements of your degree. Words 150B, so where you see B, it just means for students not in arts. And that's the only kind of connotation there. So do make sure that you are, if you're going to register in Words 150, that it is the B version, because that is just for students outside of the Faculty of Arts, essentially, which as an engineering student, you would be not in the Faculty of Arts. All right, just jumping to see any of the other. Are you required to submit your AP test scores even if you don't want to claim the credit? So you can still have the credits on your in your account, essentially, or a part of your transcript with, and still be able to take those courses at UBC. So that's not an issue. We would recommend sending any of those test scores to UBC because you don't know what your plans are necessarily going to be between now and September. It's still quite a ways away. So we would recommend getting those transcripts sent in. It's part of your application package. UBC is expecting them. So just so that there's no issues, we do recommend having them sent in. And it's always up to you to decide if you do want to take those courses at UBC. Even if you're granted credit, you can still take those AP or IB courses that you got credit for, or sorry, take the courses that you've gotten credit for from AP or IB at UBC. So there's a few questions I saw come up about the humanities courses and whether you can take a language course. So yes, you can take a language course. For students that may have received credit for something like English, and you have 2 credits for English, you could use your credit to apply to your Words 150 or equivalent at first year English, as well as one of those can go to your humanities electives as well. So if you've done IB and you're getting 6 credits of first year English, you can actually split those up. If you're looking at language as a second language type of course, or as a language other than English, essentially, then there are some restrictions on that. Jessica, do you want to talk a little bit more about humanities and the limit on language courses that they can use?
Yeah, for sure. So for your overall Bachelor's of Applied Science degree, there is a requirement for you to take 6 credits. Usually at UBC, courses are worth 3 credits each. For the most part, humanities are, and so that would entail 2 humanities courses. In terms of the language requirement, we only allow students to take up to 3 credits in a language course for your overall degree. Anything outside of that does not count towards the humanities elective, but would just be like a bonus per se for self-learning if you choose to do that. I believe someone linked in the chat box the humanities database. I think that's a great place to check if your humanities course is approved. If you don't see it on the list, it doesn't mean that it's not approved unless it says N, which stands for no. If you have like questions because it's not in the database, you can always email us and we can have someone review that to make sure. But typically speaking, as long as it's a at purely arts course, the spirit of it is in like arts course and not any way related to engineering or any technical requirements, then it should be approved.
Perfect, thank you. So yeah, I think that addresses some of those questions that have been coming in. There were a few questions as well that I think Ellie just answered specifically for computer engineering, but also for students considering any of our programs to enter. So at the Vancouver campus, we have 14 different engineering programs that you can go into in second year. There are other sessions coming up this summer that we'll talk a little bit more about that. So we won't get too much into that today, but know that your first year will set you up for entry into any of those programs. The one piece would be if you are doing the regular Hstt and planning to go into biomedical engineering, there may be some additional requirements that you need to complete in your second year of biomedical engineering, but you're still eligible to go into the biomedical engineering program if you meet the competitive entry requirements through that. So hopefully that answers those questions. I do see a few questions coming up about computer science. So engineering offers computer engineering and electrical engineering, which are just going to be similar to each other. They're part of the same department. Computer science would be offered by the Faculty of Science or the Faculty of Arts, depending on which option you want to do. If you do have more questions, we would recommend talking to the computer science department for more information about that. So computer science itself is not going to be part of applied science, but computer engineering is. So hopefully that helps answer some of those questions that are popping up. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm seeing a lot of questions about like what courses are included in your STT versus what you have to add. So the courses included in just the standard high school STT, which the majority of people end up in, is Phys 157, AppSci 100, Chem 154, Math 100, Chem 15 or Physics 158, Physics 159, AppSci 101, AppSci 160, and Math 101. I think I got all of those. And then all you have to add is your words and your elective. Essentially how it'll show up when you're looking at it, because you'll see this once that they're available. I suggest that you look at the different timetables, see how they show up. But essentially you'll be able to see your first term and your second term daily schedule kind of thing, like as a week, and all of those required courses will show up into there. And then you'll be able to look at the words courses. It'll show if they overlap with any of your required courses. You make sure that it fits somewhere in there and doesn't overlap. And then you would also choose your humanities and check that it doesn't overlap with any of your required courses. But this is like more clear once you actually see it in the SSC.
Yeah, so I encourage everyone to go have a look. I'll try and share this link. It should work. So this is just an example of an STT from 2021 winter. So it's not going to be exactly the same for this year, but you can have a look at that link that I just added in there. That should pull up what one of the STTs from last year looked like. So in the top part, you'll see the list of the what the course is, what type of activity it is. For the most part, you don't have to worry too much about that. It's all going to be built into your timetable. So some courses will have a lecture component. Many courses will also have a lab component or a tutorial component or a discussion component. So there's kind of multiple pieces of one course. There's different kind of things and different meeting times that you would go to as part of that. And so that'll all be listed in the STT. And then if you scroll down on that link that I shared, you should be able to see it mapped out in a timetable view. And that's where you can kind of start to look at and maybe get a better sense of what your schedule would look like, where you could fit in your electives and your humanities courses and things like that. So hopefully that helps explain a little bit, but I do encourage you to start looking through there. You can look again at the 2021 winter stuff. Just know that that will be last year's, but right now you can look at that. And then after May 24th, you should be able to see everything for 2022 winter. So thanks for explaining more about that, Ellie. And on the Engineering Academic Services website, you'll also have that full list of first year courses with the reminder of adding your humanities and your words 150 as well. Okay, so the STT link isn't available.
I just saw a question that said, did I do all of those courses, 12 courses in first year? And if yes, could you share how manageable it was? So in the Pbme Stt, we actually have 13 courses. In regular engineering, it is 12, I believe. And so, yes, I did all of those in first year, or it's 13 with the humanities elective, I believe. Either way, yes, it's that many courses. And so, yes, you do all of them in first year. They're split up between 2 terms. And so you have like 6 and 7 or 6 courses each term. And so you learn how to manage it through experience. So you're not going to know how to like divide your time until you're actually in your classes. It's trial and error like the first term. So give yourself, space to try new things, like your study habits from first from high school may not work as well as you expected to in engineering, and you just may have to adjust. But as long as you give yourself space to like adjust to your new schedule and seek out resources and help and ask questions. I think something that I definitely forgot was the professors and the TAs. You're paying their salary, you're paying tuition. And so take full advantage of those resources. And also I ended up second term, I had 7 courses. It was too much for me. I'm taking words this summer. And so give yourself like the leeway to change around your schedule to make it more manageable for you, and don't compare yourself to anybody else because they may seem like they're doing great, but we've all got our own challenges. And so just learn more. You'll definitely learn more about yourself and how you can manage your time.
Yeah, I just want to add to that. That's some solid advice, Ellie. Yeah, don't compare yourself to others. Everyone works at their own pace. I would say, like, because you don't know what you're getting yourself into, you may want to just experience those first 2 weeks of what it's like to take those 7 classes per term. And then if you decide that this is way too much, too overwhelming, you still have the opportunity to drop with no record of that. So please take advantage of that. The university is quite graceful in how much time it gives students. I think it's about a month before that drop deadline is actually up. So you can take advantage of that. Yeah, and I'm sorry, I'm just seeing some questions about like the difference between electives versus humanities electives. So I just want to clarify that in first year, students, really their only elective option is the humanities elective option. That is different from an overall general elective option, which students have the opportunity to take as they progress throughout their degree in their upper years, depending on what program it is. So an elective is different from a humanities elective. Just want to make that super clear.
Thank you. Yes. There was another question about the STT and is it set? So it is called a standard timetable because it is kind of set for you. So whatever you see in the STT of the days that it has classes on, that will be what it is. And some STTs may have heavier mornings or heavier afternoons kind of thing. So that's where you're going to get to choose. In engineering, it is a heavy course load, so you don't get a ton of flexibility, especially in first year, because you just are required to take those courses. So whatever you see in the STT will be what your schedule means for the year. Other faculties will do it differently. Some faculties don't use STTs at all, so it'll be different. But if you know that that's what you're expecting to register in. Now, one of the great things about being in an STT is that this is kind of like a cohort system. So it's a built-in cohort system. Students in your STT are going to be in the same courses as you. So you're going to go from class to class with them. Some of your lectures may have students from other STTs, but likely all students in a lab with you are probably going to be part of the same STT or maybe just a couple of STTs. So you kind of have a cohort system built in. You're going to see the same faces as you go from class to class. So it makes it easy to get to know people and get connected. So that is one of the benefits of it. For anyone looking and seeing that your registration status is currently blocked, it's because you're not able to register yet. So registration dates, as a reminder, are June 21st to 23rd for first year students. You won't be able to register in courses until that day comes, but you should still be able to build work lists in the meantime. Again, the STTs for this year are not published. So if you are looking at that example I shared or looking at 2021 winter options, you may see some stuff online and things like that. And that's because that was this past year. So again, just knowing that that's like a reference point for you to explore a little bit more, but won't be exactly what this year it looks like. There's a question about group projects. So Ellie, do you want to talk about some of the group projects that you got to work on this year, maybe specifically in AppSci 100?
So AppSci 100. So I will be honest, I did not like group projects coming into university. Just because in my high school, when I was in groups, I would tend to be the leader. And I think a lot of people in engineering probably share that sentiment. You guys are like top of your class, so people just expect you to like take a leadership role and do that in your groups. But then now you're surrounded by all these super intelligent people who are also passionate about what you're doing. So you all work together. So in AppSci 100 and AppSci 101 and BMeg 101, you'll be in groups and you will participate in 4 projects per term. So there's studios in which you work with your groups to learn skills that build towards your projects. And then in, for example, some of the projects that we did were building a cardboard chair. And you have to design a chair and all you can use is cardboard. No tape, no staples, nothing like that, just cardboard, which teaches you a lot about just getting into your groups. And then there's presentations you do as well. So through that class, you learn about different types of engineering, but also how to work in groups and practical skills for when you're a professional engineer as well. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. All right, so we are coming to the end of our session. There is one more question that's come up a couple of times. So Ellie, do you want to talk about getting between classes? So on the schedule that you see, if you look at the block schedule, it'll show that they're touching each other. You actually get out of the class 10 minutes before the end of class, essentially. So 10 minutes to the hour or 10 minutes to the half hour, depending on which day you're looking at. Do you want to talk about getting between classes on campus and kind of what that looked like for you, Ellie?
Yeah, so if none of you, or if you haven't been to campus, it is quite a large campus. And so when you're thinking about going between classes, you're probably thinking, wow, that's like a really long way to walk. I have never really been late to class going in between classes. So typically you're moving as like a cohort, like you all have this kind of the same timetable, so you will learn who's in your classes, you can walk together, and typically the 10 minutes is plenty of time to get in between your classes, find a seat, and get set up for your next class. The majority of the buildings are not that far apart in terms of where your classes will be. Sometimes it's a little tricky if you have a class down where the engineering buildings are, and then you have like an arts course down at the other end by the Rose Garden, but that's going between, math and chemistry, there should be no problem.
Perfect. Thanks, Ellie. Yeah, so for the most part, getting between classes should not be an issue. There are students who will bring their bikes to campus, or you'll see scooters on campus as well. So if you do want that to get around campus faster, you are welcome to. There's also a bike share program if you want to use that. But for the most part, walking between classes is not an issue throughout the day.
Erin, if I can just jump in here, I'm seeing a lot of questions about delivery format of courses. I know this is a very hot topic among students. And so the course calendar actually now publishes the format of courses. So you're going to see words like in-person, online, hybrid, and then there's a new one called multi-access, but there aren't many, so I won't get into that. But basically, most of your classes you're going to see are going to say in person. And if it says that, it is expected that you attend in person. You may have heard for all kinds of reasons that these courses have gone online, but that has largely been due to the impact of the pandemic. And as we see a return to person and a new normal, you will see more and more classes being delivered in person, and you should go in with the expectation that you are fully there to participate in person, and no exceptions will be made, unfortunately. Okay.
Yes, thank you so much for sharing that. So yeah, that does kind of bring us to the end of our session. There were a few questions still popping up about, what if you're missing credits at the end of first year? What does that look like if you're taking summer courses and things like that? So I will add that, especially for registration coming up right now, plan to register in your full set of year one courses. Register in the full STT, register in your humanities and your Words 150 class for first year. If at some point over the summer you want to talk with our academic advisors in engineering academic services, you can reach out to them and connect with them more about, why maybe it may make sense for you to drop some of those courses for first year, and they can work with you to determine what those courses will be and what those impacts may be for you specifically, because it depends on the course. In some cases, it depends on which program you want to enter in second year. It's hard to give just a generality. But what I would recommend right now is to register and everything. Don't worry about dropping anything just yet. And closer to September, if you do want to drop courses, you can. Know that if you drop anything from your STT, you cannot easily add it back in. So we do really recommend thinking hard about this, talking with an advisor before you're dropping any of those courses when it comes to that point in time. So I'm gonna kind of finish it off here. Jessica, is there one piece of advice that you would like to give our incoming students?
Yeah, good question, Erin. I would say, over the summer, take some time to relax, enjoy that period between high school to university. Don't worry too much. You'll figure all of that out when you get here. And then when you get here, in terms of registration, make sure you build up those work lists, get ready for registration. And then any other concerns you have about academics, resources on campus, come by our office. We offer in-person advising, virtual advising. We can quickly answer your questions, and sometimes it's better to meet in person than through email. So please do come by, and just know that there are a plethora of resources available on campus. There's definitely no shortage of it. And so it's just a matter of where to go to.
Awesome. And in the same place that you would have gone to register for this session in our events calendar, you'll also see all of the upcoming events that our advisors are hosting for more information about registration. So I'll add that link that takes you to our applicant events. You'll see more live Q&As coming up throughout the summer, as well as the other sessions happening in June that our advisors are hosting that will get into even more detail than we did today. Today is just supposed to be a little bit of information to get you started. And Jessica just posted the contact form as well for you to get in touch. Ellie, to finish off, thinking back to where you were at basically a year from now, thinking about coming to UBC Engineering, what sort of piece of advice would you now give yourself if you were talking to yourself from a year ago?
Honestly, just enjoy coming into university, enjoy this entire experience, enjoy your summer as well. Really rest, take time to rest, spend time with your friends, and just, prepare for university and going away from home for the first time for many of you. So it's amazing that you got into UBC Engineering. I think for a lot of us, it doesn't seem like necessarily a huge accomplishment, but it really is. Just think of how many other people would love to be in your shoes right now. So, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ellie. Yes. Huge congratulations to everyone that's been admitted. We hope to see you all on campus this fall. It's been a pleasure getting to do this session for you. There's lots more sessions coming up throughout the summer. There are lots of emails I will be continuing to send you throughout the summer. So definitely check your email, because you should be receiving emails from me. There will be more information about registration. There will be more events coming up online throughout the summer for you to participate in. There's going to be a kind of online UBC engineering guide that's going to be launched in early June. So the next email that you'll receive will have more information about that. So that's something to look forward to. And that will have a lot of resources kind of in one spot for you to refer to. There's lots of things that UBC as a whole will be offering. So Jumpstart is a week-long orientation program before courses start. Ellie was talking to me about that today, about how awesome it is and how everyone should sign up for it. The dates aren't out just yet for when you can register, but we will be sending out that information once it's available. There are some kind of like introductory get used to UBC summer courses that happen. So they're not for credit or anything like that, but they're kind of introductory courses to get you kind of starting to use our course software that we use called Canvas and things like that. And so we will send you links about that as well. So there's lots coming up over the next few months for you to kind of pay attention to. Most of it will come to you via email. So do check your email for anything I send from. It's outreach@apsc.ubc.ca. So make sure that you're getting those emails, or do a search in your email if you haven't received any from me yet. And other UBC emails will all end with @ubc.ca emails. So you can check those out for our students' email, general emails from UBC, but do check your email because that is the primary way that we communicate with you. And whatever email we'll use is whatever is listed in your student service center. So if you do need to make an adjustment to what that email is or a different email that you'd prefer, please make that update in your student service center so you can make sure that you are receiving all of our emails. So thank you, everyone. Tons of amazing questions today. Hope you enjoyed this session. Again, it was just meant to be kind of an introduction to the basics of course registration. There's more information coming at you in the next several weeks. Check out the website online. When I post this recording, we'll have all of the links posted as well for you to reference. So thank you for watching and for joining and spending your time with us. A huge thank you to Ellie and to Jessica for being here with me to help answer all of these amazing questions. I really appreciate your help and have a great evening, everyone. Thank you.